Hey everyone, Dave Portable Door and Gates. Hope you are doing great. Email just came through, the old hotline. It was lucky enough I was here and I was at the shop. So I thought, you know what, hey, I'm gonna jump on for a minute. If any of my seasoned vets jump on, I'm kind of looking for like the HB probably, Tanner, Rusty possibly, but they're all busy too. This was a Papa Tony. Anybody that kind of deals with the commercial garage doors, be great for you to comment. Sometimes it's better too, even if you don't get on here, you comment after the video, because we don't get a lot of comments after the video. And unfortunately, I don't think you can see the comments as they stroll through. Also, if you're cruising with the like button, it just wakes up the algo, you know, and YouTube stimmies, I guess. Anywho, so talking about the commercial jobs, I'm going to kind of be packing, depending on what comes in, questions. You're more welcome to ask even off the random questions. So commercial jobs are on garage doors. This was my biggest helper. I'm not an expert by any means. I've done it for many years, and I can just tell you the stories that I know. But this calculator right here, huge, right? Because it's got margin. The margin calculator, that's the big one. So, I mean, trust me, everybody wants to have, we want to have bigger margins, right? Bigger margins, more profit, right? We all want bigger profit. But what I normally see is a 20 to 30% margin with certain jobs. Now that all can kind of factor in, right? Because it all depends on how far, I mean, there's a lot of variables. It's on driving, it's on conditions, is how busy you are, how bad you want the customer. Are they a local customer, a customer of many doors, you know, very little doors? How new is the building? You know, the conditions inside, does it take you an hour to 2 hours just to sign in for safety protocols? There's a lot of factors that go into it. But just if I can get this thing to work, let's just do 1,000. I'm just curious. Gonna do 1,000. That's our cost. And this might be however you can factor this. How I normally do like a three different way how I do it. I might write everything down, cost, right? I might go, okay, there's gonna be this much in labor. How much do I pay in labor? What do I pay myself? What do I pay guys? I write down how many trips I think it's gonna be, and I always factor in one extra trip, right? For some kind of some little foobar problem or something. Hey, and you guys jumping in too, don't forget, please just hit the like button. Helps wake up the algo. It says 0 on my end. Big 0. But anywho, so what you want to do though is I like to factor everything in, and then I like to know what my total is at the bottom for here's material, here's labor, here's roughly what's gas gonna be. This is my bare minimum. Like, this is what I can do it for. Like, if somebody comes back and let's say it's a $5,000 job just in my cost, labor, material, all my stuff, and they come back and they go, well, we got somebody that'll do it for $4,500. See ya. Go ahead, have at it. I can't do it, because there is times too, which I've been foobarred on this, is I've also had it where your vendor, you might be getting a higher price on your vendor that you don't know about. I had that happen for many years. I was working with a company, won't say their name, and I didn't realize I wasn't getting the best pricing. And all of a sudden I was going around town and getting jobs, and I realized that they said, you know, people were going, you're like $200 higher, $200 to $400 higher. And I'm thinking, how is that? I'm like the newest cat in town, and I'm thinking, I got a building, I don't got all this stuff, I don't got a bunch of trucks. What is going on here? And come to find out, as my vendor was charging me, there's like an A, B, and C price. Sometimes they call it roughly that and call other things. But yeah, I was on the high side. So they changed it. Thank you. They did. So sometimes you got to watch some of that material cost too, right? And sometimes you got to shop around a little bit. Material can change the cost. So, but the big thing is there is a difference. Nobody's really explained it to me the best. There is a difference between margin and profit and percentages. So I like the calculator that actually has the margin button. You get one with the margin. This makes life a lot easier. You can add it all up. I'm sure there's other guys that can explain it better. Another thing is with commercial, for me, if you start out small, I've always just kind of weed it. You know, like sometimes the DPWs and stuff like that, municipalities, Department of Public Works, just a little tip. Sometimes, right, if you get in with the places, if you're kind of starting to get your feet wet, you start with the places that don't have loading docks. I don't know why, but loading docks are a little bit more problematic. They're normally the big dogs is how I've noticed it. If you can find a commercial, might be a landscaper, might be DPWs, might be fire department, you are going to have something, you know, so the problem is you're going to run into is they are going to want insurance. So as long as you have a good insurance provider, you know, whoever it is, State Farm, Farm Bureau, auto insurance or auto whatever, you know, as long as you got somebody that works with you that you can actually call and talk to, and they got staff, it's not probably some online weird stuff, you're going to be looking pretty good. Because what I've noticed is it's better to do and ask for forgiveness than it is to, you know, buy all that insurance that maybe you don't need. Like for us, most time $1 million coverage gets us pretty far. We had a company a couple years ago that wanted $2 million. The problem is the company was only going to be here for a short, like 3 years. We had there like 6 months to a year left. And for us, it wasn't really worth it. Talked, you know, and this is just the things that once you're in the moment, you just do it. You know what I mean? Like, and you call your insurance company, go, this is what they want. What do I need to do? And I tell you what, man, the money talks, baby. So it sucks, but you're going to get your college education. So Mr. Caleb was working with me yesterday. I see you on there. I can't pronounce, what is it? Is it Gertie? I can't say it, man. I'm so sorry. I'm horrible with spelling. So G, I see you there. Thanks for the email. Like I said, it's a good email. Like I said, if you got anything else, just ask away. It's one of those things. It's like, it's scary. But you just got to be able to, it's kind of like, how do I explain it? It's like trying to maybe sign up for like, you know, for your house or something like that, or like a cell phone, activate a cell phone. It's just, it ain't gonna happen in 2 minutes. It's gonna take some time. And what I was telling Caleb is because he was asking, we were on a bigger job, and he said, could I do this job? And I said, well, it's not that you can't not get into the job, right? It's the problem that typically, what I've noticed, is payment. What normally happens, it's when the payment is needed. Gotta remember that most of the time, most commercial contractors, you know, commercial buildings and all that you work for, they typically are going to only do, you know, sometimes they're 30 days, net 30 that they'll pay you. Sometimes it's 60. We've had some that are 90, and we typically don't work for the ones that do 90. We just aren't good enough. There's not enough meat in the bone for us. I've also had some contractors, I haven't heard this lately, and it was only this one. It was a big general contractor. They would actually, what was it, 10% or 1%? I can't remember. It was 10%, but they would keep actually for a whole year. So we did a big door job for them. They had a retainage fee. I can't remember if it was 1% or 10. I don't know, but whatever it was, you know, that big a job. It was a good chunk of money. And it's like they had that carrot, you know what I mean? So if you didn't come back in, you know, 5 months, 6 months, they found a problem, the customer problem, because the general contractor was one that built the building, you know, they could go, we got this retainer, you know, and we will spend it. We'll give it to another company that'll come out and fix it. We're never going to get it. And sometimes that's like your profit, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the, like, you got to kind of kiss butt. Da-da-da. Residential business is very hectic, and you have to negotiate on each job for even $50 where I live. Oh, you know, it's what is it? Like I said, I've been into it 18 plus years, and it's difficult because you run in. It's almost like if you ask me of today, January 4th, 2025. Hoorah! Let's go. I would tell you, still, I don't know. I feel like I'd go 50 residential, 50% commercial, or 70 commercial, 25% residential. That's what I feel, because the price is one of them can shut off before the other. And what can happen is, so like, you know, Resi's real nice because it's quick cash flow. You normally get paid before you leave, which is nice. It can be something that can kind of keep you busy if you got some employees or whatever, or yourself. So it's a hard balance. Typically, the way we kind of is, if we got big commercial stuff going on, the commercial will take care of, and we will we will tell our residential, hey, we're sorry, and we typically have 1 or 2 people that will recommend, and we'll send them that way. Because obviously they're not a repeat. So, that's kind of, but yeah, commercial can be, or the residential. That's why with residential, I typically don't. Some guys like to really, they can close every sale and they're the man and all that kind of stuff. That's why I normally like to pre-qualify residential. I really try to, get pictures, understand their language. How are they going to pay? That's a big one. Like, honestly, it's hard. I love cash, right? Very hectic when you have employees. I've done it, right? I've had cash blow out the truck and you're chasing in a parking lot to go get it. It comes back to the shop. It's off. Did they pinch it? Did they, did the customer not pay? Just grabbed it and went? Or, I almost really want customers to have a credit card. Even if they don't use it and they want to use a check. But if they have a credit card, it means they have credit typically. You know what I mean? But, because we got some. Residential, I totally get it. If you can normally work them in. So I think here right now, like Cap's doing it pretty much like Mondays and Fridays is the residential we fit in. And then the rest of the week is commercial. That seems to work because typically Fridays come, and I'm not gonna lie, most you know how it goes. Most time the guys are not wanting to be on a big job. Residential is in and out, and you can kind of do as many as you can. And people, for some reason, with residential, they typically will they do weird things, right? I've had so many people. I'll go there on a Friday. I'm like, yeah, this has been broke for 2 weeks, but I really got to get my boat out again because we're going on the lake. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I'm like, you called me on a Friday, like at noon, and and then what happens? My buddy taught me this. He said, Dave, he says Mondays. He says, think about it. He says Monday, they got 2 days, and what do they do on those 2? They're using their garage doors frantically, right? They're going to the mall, they're going shopping, they're going out to eat. They got their own projects, they're working on lawns and stuff. So garage doors are even getting used more. Plus, you got 2 days of doors being used. So what's going to happen normally on a Monday is be residential going, hey, my door broke over the weekend. At least the common sense ones typically do. I didn't want to call you over the weekend because I figured you guys were closed and blah, blah. Sometimes they still do. And you can capture that if you want, or you can snug them off a little bit or make better profit and say, I could have somebody come out today. It's going to be $200 to $300 more, or we can wait till Monday and put you on the schedule. And they typically, 9 out of 10 will do that. Tony's got cash is king, baby. Good. Cash is good. And it all depends, I think, on your size. And so, Tony, can you hit the like button? I know it's low. It's low, man. It's like, it's that time of day. Everybody, and they're all doing their stuff. I was in my own little world too. We got this emailed here. So I'm trying to help a brother out. And, but Tony, if you can think of anything, I'm trying to think of anything I'm overlooking for commercial. How many of you ran into, right? Like typically it's insurance. My wife was telling me the other night that it runs into, sometimes they want auto insurance. Now I did ask her, I said, could you have personal? And she goes, I don't know. She goes, I don't know if it has to be under the business or you just got to have proof of insurance. And I said, I don't think they obviously going to make you have full coverage. I said, you just got to have proof because typically you're driving a vehicle on their property. They got to cover all their bases. They want to make sure they're being insured sometimes. So it's insurance, lobbyist insurance, you know what I mean? So you got to have that. You got to have your business license. You got to have your tax ID number. Like I said, we typically have to have $1 million plus. It depends on the cost, what they, and like I said, typically whatever they start throwing at you, you just kind of go, okay, and let me call and then you have to decide, obviously, to want to keep going down this road. One thing kind of important is I would make sure that you ask your insurance company, make sure you just ask them if it's something like, let's say you're at $1 million and you got to bump it up and you say, can I turn it off? Because sometimes those little rotten boogers, they'll get you and they'll say, no, you really need to do it for a year. Because otherwise, if you only do it for a month or 2 or 3 and you turn it off, like you'll never get it again, or you'll get dropped, or we won't give it to you for that rate. Some crazy stuff like that. I just remember we had one, and so here's a little trick too. if you get into somewhere and you got a buddy or something, right, or somebody with you, sometimes you can get under another contractor, kind of like an umbrella a little bit. I'm not recommending it. It's complicated, but sometimes. So for me, right, we were working for this one place, a power plant they took down, right? Man, took down a coal power plant, those boogers. They were tearing it down. Well, this company came in, the one that does the demolition, but everything this company did, right? I mean, brand new trucks. I mean, they just spent money like crazy, it seemed like. But then when it came to us, right, it was always penny pinching. How much? How much? How much? Well, how soon can you do it? How much? And they would pay. It was okay. But the safety protocols were really high. Like, I mean, you had to go in there and have a meeting, you have, work permit, you got to have all the, you're working outside, you got to make it a hard hat. We had to have special boots, we got to have a special fall protection, we got to have a lift that's up to date and certified, and we got to be trained. So there's a lot of crap that went into it, right? Well, when we were starting to do stuff, we're paying, and then it was like, oh, well, actually, you guys need $2 million coverage or something. And we're all right, we call, whatever. And we had to have some other addendum or something. And like I said, it's just one thing. You just, when you're in the midst, you learn it, right? And you also got to be able to sit on, 1,000, 4,000. Just don't get yourself over your head. You got to be able to money because it might be locked up because they might not want to release it because you don't have the right information for them to do so, supposedly. And like I said, you're dealing with a lot of people. You're dealing with one decision maker. That's the problem sometimes. Sometimes there's good people in there that'll work for you and expedite things or help you out. But anywho, so I worked for this one, and my electrician buddy, he already had it, but he already told me the game. He says, Dave, he goes, hold this company. I'll get to you when I can. He says, I can't keep dropping and doing you guys, 4 days a week working on your stuff. He says, because here's the thing, I'm losing my members that are going to be around for many years. You guys are leaving in another year. Your liberation going to the next coal power plant to tear that place down. He says, but I'll do what I can. But I had all the coverage. And he told me, he's like, hey man, he goes, if you want, he goes, I could probably, you could just go under me. He says, I can submit the S or do whatever. You can submit it, and then the payment will come through me. He goes, but if you're okay with me tacking on another $200, and I'm like, you're gonna tack on another $100, $200? Hallelujah, man. I mean, we don't have to do workman's comp, payroll, anything. Like, and you're gonna make it. Hell yeah. I'm game, dude, because we otherwise have to increase our insurance. We don't even want to do this customer. They just keep bugging us. I don't know. It was like a customer we didn't even really want. So that's what we did for maybe 2 or 3 jobs. I would submit, I forget how we did it. If I did it to the electrician or I submitted it to them, and then we just would go through. But they were kind of okay with it too. Like, they kind of understood the game. It's just like they needed somebody to be responsible with so much insurance if something happened. So luckily the electrician knew us. He knew we were good people. So we did something like that. Not saying I'd push it, it's just something that might come across and you might go, you know what, I remember Uncle Dave talk about that. What's Tony guy? He says liability insurance, they usually want workman's liability insurance. I've had automotive, your autos, auto cars, which how that works, because I feel like we've had other vehicles and I don't know if it's not like they specifically go, is this one? It's like they just need one on there so they know, like, it's almost like that credit thing I was talking about, where you're like, I know at least you have credit, you know what I mean? And so the system believes in you, What you got? Luke's got on here. He says, I had a actual customer who had me jump through hoops to even get on site. Yes, it takes a lot of time. That's why I almost kind of, so for instance, Cap, he was doing something with a commercial customer, and he was doing fencing. And told him, I said, he went to like 3 different job sites, and he's like, I gotta measure all this and blah, blah. And I said, dude, this is bullcrap. This is bullcrap, man. I said, have we gotten one job from them yet? No. I said, okay, well, here's the thing. They needed a gate repair, right? I said, do the gate repair for like cost, like nothing. I said, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to that seed, and I want to see how it's going to manifest, because I know if we do a small job for them, let's do a small job, we're going to get in the system, because then there's going to be the blowback, is what I like to call it, the blowback. Shooting a gun, blowback. And I said, so I want to see I swear to God, I just seen A1 go, that one company, I swear I just seen their van go by. They ain't got nothing on me. And anywho, so I'm thinking like, right, I'm like, I want to see the blowback. He never got a job from him. Then I told him, look, dude, I said, quit wasting. I said, tell the guy, I said, it's X amount of dollars per foot. It's $20 every linear foot. You can go out there and wheel to figure out. And so how many feet you got? Gates run, if you want a man gate or a slide gate, they're $50 a foot. So whatever, how big you want the gate, just give him some parameters. Quit wasting your time. He did all that. Nothing ever became of it. Actually, I think one location, I don't know, all of them, but not a business or whatever. They were just whatever. So the guy had them running around. So that's why I like to start out with something small. If it starts smelling fishy, I just get out of it, man. Because there's other fish in the sea. You know what I mean? And some are a good fit, some are a bad fit. But it takes, you gotta make sure. The big thing is just make sure money solves all problems for the most part. So just money. And then, like I said, I would expect in my brain, if I was doing commercial again, if I was going to a customer, I would be telling myself, I'm probably not going to get paid. And I'm going to, but there's going to be like a secretary that's going to call me and say, hi, this is Jan or something from whatever. And I noticed, we're payment out to you, but we need a few things from you. Just a few, right? Just a few. And you got day and all week because you're not doing nothing. You're up there sweating, putting up springs, big commercial springs, or doing residential. I got 5 more to go, So it's things too, like when you go commercial, if you start hitting it you really need help behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff. Your wife might be able to, but it also might cause a divorce. Secretary that can answer it and then keep protocoling on that kind of stuff. And a good insurance company helps. Just like kind of like a good tax person's, and it takes time. The first one is probably not the end all be all. Workman's liability. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But I was telling her, I said, so Caleb asked, we got up to 5 likes. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. So I was talking to Caleb, and he mentioned, he's just asking questions. He's a young entrepreneur, and he said something about the fact, he goes, could I do this job? And I said, it's not that maybe you couldn't got this job. I said, but it's going to come to, all those things behind. And I said, could you front, we have there, basically probably with the openers and stuff, $4,000. So can you front $4,000 and sit on it for, let's just say 6-8 months? He's like, oh no, not, now. Exactly. So, you need capital, you really need some capital. It can be very challenging because that's the one thing that gets me in the store business sometimes a little bit, especially with the commercial, you're doing that stuff, right? And you guys know how it is. 3 weeks from now, gas could double in price. The money finally comes in after gas prices doubled, and you're like, this money's worth less now. Sweet. I would have rather have now and bought the gas now and stored it or something. I don't know, something goofy. Commercial customer, jump through. Ta-da. Do you guys do loading docks also? No, we could, and I think that's why I kind of mention it, because I've noticed there's 2 companies, they don't really step on our toes too much. The one is mostly docks, right? And we've used them, we've subbed them out before, but they also do garage doors. But it's they're more set up for docks. The garage door, they just do it kind of like us. We've done docks. If people really are bugged, they need help or something, we can do it. It's just we're not experts in that field. It takes different equipment. You got to be able to weld. You're dealing with concrete. Dimensions. Total different set of vendors. So that's why I was just kind of mentioning possibly doing places that don't have loading docks, because it just seems like it's intuitive that they're going to ask you, and you might be fighting against somebody that will do that. That'll come in, because a lot of places do try to, say, hey, we'll take care of the whole back end. We'll do dock plates. We'll do garage doors. We do the seals around it. I think I have one of our customers now. And the thing is, what happens with commercial is that you build a relationship with somebody. They start getting older, or just they move positions, and so it's kind of it can be just can be like that that now you don't have that customer anymore. So that's why it's kind of like you don't want to, like, like Mama always says, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because there was like Herman Miller, the ones that make office furniture and stuff. I was literally going to hire. We were doing 3 locations, and these are huge locations. I mean, we're talking like 70 to 100 doors per building, and I mean, I was working weekends and nights trying to finish up jobs. They had what the bump stops broke. One came down and hit someone, an employee on the head. So they went through the whole company to do the bump stops. They had to be all replaced with that little plastic piece. So we were changing those things out like crazy. But then all it took was that guy that we knew in there. He went to another location, and a lady took over, and the sparks were not flying. You know what I mean? She was in there to show the world, or show the companies that she was in charge, and that she was going to save the budget and cost reductions. And she cleaned house a little bit, and got some of the maintenance guys to do more of the stuff. So bye-bye. And just like this one, right? I was the guy that was used to be good relationships with a guy that worked there. Another guy taken over. Cap was dealing with him more or less, but then I think he had a little bit of a threat, almost like, well, this other company, and Cap was like, well, I mean, if you want them to do it, then I don't know what to tell you, but we provide. And it's difficult because sometimes in the business, depending where you're at, right? That's why I talk about like your demographics. If you got to travel, like if somebody's an hour north from where we're at, good luck. It's hard to, your time will be eaten up in driving, you know what I mean? So even if you come into our town, we got you beat because we can be there a lot quicker and sooner, and we don't have to have all this time invested in traveling. So you have to kind of, also play that, and that traveling, I tell you what, that traveling will kick your, so so no loading docks. We did it, but they're coffins. They're dirty. You're outside. They're messy. If they don't have a forklift on site, they do have a forklift on site, and you can use it. Somebody's always standing there tapping foot. You guys done yet? You guys done yet? I got trucks to unload. So then you got to have like a crane, a welder, all that good stuff. Got 6 likes, man. Look at that. Eric's here. Eric, haven't heard from you, man. I thought something bad happened to you. Gosh, I'm glad you're here. Howdy. Mr. Freeze is here. Ah, right. Tony's got like he's thinking the same thing. Mr. Freeze. Oh, that's funny. Tony says, Luke, they will make you jump through hoops. Yep. Commercial is a very, very big animal, and the only way I got into most of my commercial was literally going in there, shaking their hand, give them business cards, say, I want your work, dress like a man, and that's how I got most of them. We've had a trickle in, organically over the phone, or something doesn't work, or they whatever. But you got to be like, typically commercial, we don't run them through the secretaries. Secretaries do a very good job, but these guys don't have much time. These maintenance guys, they need somebody that can just answer the phone and go, hey, door 2 on Apple location is having a problem. Can you look at it? Yep, not a problem. Got it. Not, okay, sir, how are you doing today? What's the address? Can you give me? And he's like, oh, geez, Louise, So commercial is very demanding to some degree. Once you're kind of in the system, it's not really too bad, long as you don't screw it up. But your prices can always get out of whack too. And there's always somebody that's a little more hungry than you sometimes, and they might come in and try to snuff you out. So you're hoping that you build a good relationship, do the best service that you can provide. And you're just kind of hoping and praying. But like I said, get yourself a good calculator. Somewhere between 20. I know I got a builder right now that's in the 20% margin. He's been knocked down because he'll call us out, and good for him. And he's told us, he keeps getting prices, and he's like, you're $1,000, you're $4,000 higher than the place, and it's just business. It's just how it is. I'm just thankful that him or they or whoever are willing to work with us, you know what I mean? Because they don't have to. They could just go, I'm going to go with a low bid, and Sarah, and I'm going to probably use this other person from now because they've always had a lower bid. They typically don't. Why there's always that 3 bid out there in the world. A lot of places have to get 3 bids. That's also why with commercial, you might figure out eventually that they have a threshold. I found this out one through maintenance guy. I was like, oh man, we're looking at it. He's like, well, how much? And I said, oh, like $4, and he's like, dude, I can approve anything up to 1,000. And I'm like, we're probably still looking good at $900. Like realistic. I'm just being like, when people put me on the spot, I'm just, like went over because I don't, you don't know, you know what I mean? And so he goes, all right, he goes, I said, we could probably do it. I said, let me go crunch the numbers. I said, I'll send you an email. And so now I always know that anything over 1,000, he's going to have to get bids. So that's also something to take in consideration. That's helpful. If you can find that they have a threshold, just like the one guy told me years ago, right? My old business partner, we always replace. And he, I go to the guy that's in charge and I say, hey, his name was Ken. I said, hey, Ken, I said, this opener's in really bad shape. I said, dude, we really need to replace it. And he's like, come here, Dave. Yeah? What's that, Ken? And he goes, if you repair it, I have an unlimited check. Okay. If you replace it, I have to get 3 bids. So repair, unlimited. That's not the case for places. But if you replace, I got to get 3 bids and show my boss. Yes, sir. So I went back to my business partner. I was like, I got to repair this thing. And he's like, what? I'm like, we got parts, dude. I was like, it's just convenient. Sometimes it's easier and faster, and you think you're doing the right service. But when it comes down to cha-ching, I mean, that opener, we got all day probably $800 in profit versus we would have been bidding against somebody else and made bucks. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody else would want to get in there. And then they'd be sitting there doing the elbow and the lovey and dovey. We can take care of you. What you got, Freeze? Lift metal. Evan's here too. Son of a biscuit. Evan says, I probably won't get into commercial until I hire someone who's already worked on commercial doors. That's all right, Evan. You get going, buddy. I'll get my if I ever get my passport, I'll just find that back road. Just find that back country road. Like I said, it's really not too bad, but you definitely believe. I really believe there's got to be 2 of you. There's a lot of things I've learned and over the years where I can work independently. I can do quite a bit. I can do darn near everything except maybe those big doors like Tanner. I can't lift those sections by myself. But most stuff I can get out of with leverage, come along, grapple tool, vice grips, years of knowledge, and you just learn. You just got to throw it into the fire. That's really what it comes down to on some of that. But I definitely would agree that if you're just starting out, commercial would not be in my. If I was a sole guy right now, I feel I might even want more. I mean, I'm sitting here going like I'd want 30,000 in the bank, start pursuing commercial, because you probably don't need that much, but that's just a cushy feel, because if you're paying yourself and you got because if you got to rent a lift to go there, right? Let's say you don't own one right now. You got they could range anywhere from $200 to $400 a day, right? For a day rate, a scissor lift. And I tell you what, that pressure is really, really, really hard. You know what I mean? Like, it's super hard because I was just telling Caleb, we just got, you guys will see some video content hopefully here. We were just working on a big door job, a 20 by 16, changing out the opener, and 18 plus years, I don't have to worry about it now. But before, I'd be sweating at that. We got to get this job done, dude. We got to work till 6 o'clock tonight. If that's even if they'll stay open. It's Friday, and I could already tell by the mood there with these guys that they want to leave. I'd be sweating it, going, oh my gosh, if we don't get this done, like we're gonna have to pay for this scissor lift over the weekend, even though we're not using it, or we got to load this thing back up on a trailer, which is always crappy if they give you a crappy trailer, which I've had the times. We got to take the time now to haul all the way back, dump it off for the day. Then we got to take the time Monday to go get the lift again, right? And we had I think our lift goes 26 feet. I don't remember the model on it, but it was, yeah, I tell you what, small one. I know we were higher than 20 foot at least. Those are all the stress, and that's money that's going out, or maybe you don't get it back in time because something went awry, which this job went awry on us. So I just feel like you could probably do 10 be absolute minimum. but 30 would make me feel comfortable, because if you get a job that somebody goes, hey, we need 4 doors, and you're like, okay, I'll do it. And those doors are, 4, 5, 6,000, I don't know, a lot of money a piece. And then you got to factor that you said yes and you shook the guy's hand and he's all happy and stuff. And then there's that behind the scenes. Like, are you going to get paid? Are you going to get paid? The insurance is good. Oh, crap. Insurance wants me to pay up front. There's always so much weird things that happen behind the scenes. So, but residential, like I said, for starting out, it's a great way to get wet, to understand how a door operates, how cables, it's quick turnaround. It's bada bing, bada boom. You get paid. Don't bill. Make sure you get paid. Make sure you even stay. Make sure you communicate with the customer. Hey, I'm gonna, do your work today. Or if they go to leave or something, just hey, are you coming back? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna be gone for 30 minutes. Are you still gonna be here? Oh yeah, we're gonna be here for 2 hours at least. You know what I mean? I know most of the time you don't want it hovering over you, but it's really the best thing just to make sure they're there so you can go over everything with and collect payment. That's a big one. Don't bill. I used to bill. That's stupid. That's dumb. That way they're happy. You collect money. You don't have to, because all that stuff will cause more secretarial work. And if you know how it goes when you're running a business, out there trying to hustle. You know what I mean? You're hustling. You got jobs after jobs after jobs, because it will happen. It will happen. I about guarantee it. You don't think so, but it will happen. When you start knowing and they know you do it and you're an honest person and you're doing it at the right price, takes time for that. It's just, I try to explain it. It's like a garden. It all takes time. You know what I mean? And once the garden's going, baby, there's a lot of weeds to pick. There's a lot of watering to do. There's a lot of insects to keep off and spray. And I mean, it turns into a big garden. What else, you guys got any other questions on the commercial? Just let me know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the commercial. What else do you know about the commercial? Commercial is like bigger trucks, so it's more money, bigger trucks. I look at it now, we're very blessed to have it, right? But I look at it and I go, I would definitely want scissor lift, and a trailer is like a must. Then you gotta have the truck to pull it. Bigger truck too, right? Those cutaway vans, like the little vans, they work. If you have the right organization skills. But when it comes down to you need parts, and like I said, this goes across, especially if you're traveling, man. I mean, you know how it is, right? Would you want to travel without your wallet? That's what it kind of feels like, right? You don't want to travel 2 hours away and get there. Oh, we need a hotel room, and doing the old pat down in the legs. Where's the wallet? Oh my gosh, we forgot our wallet. Because commercial, anything like that, residential, anything. So it's why, if you live out in Timbuktu, you might have to get a location. Some guys have used storage units. I've seen storage units, get somewhere where the money's at, right? You gotta get where the money's at. I don't know. You guys let me know. I'm still thinking about it. You guys are more asking. I know, like right now, we got a commercial one that they are government funded. And I won't say nothing too much about, but they're government funded in a sense. I believe they do something with big jet, I believe. And they were the ones when they were the really big about making sure you got the in the arm. And it sucked because then we only had I think one guy, maybe two, I can't remember, that could go. So it's like, that's where you go, this ain't cool. Now they got a bunch of safety crap they want. They want scissor lift. They want HNL4 compliant. They want all this stuff that it's almost coming to where it's like, I don't even know. And so it's like, if we're going through that, the price of theirs, and that's okay if it makes sense, but their prices are going up. all this inconvenience, the price is going up. You're not getting a $160 service call. You're probably going to get a $220 per hour type service call, because you got to be signed in. They don't like to give badges out. There's a lot of crap, man. Just a lot of crap. So it's like, that's time. Time is money. So it takes time. Time is money. Dang. Dun, 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 dun. Commercial. I probably won't. Levin says, what is that? If you do commercial, then you will have to deal with OSHA. OSHA. We've been fortunate enough. We haven't really. It's more like if somebody complains, but that is true. You do have to, and you're supposed to be compliant if you have anything on your trucks and stuff like that, or you're supposed to have a bulletin that has everything about the chemicals being used, the risk of using them, and blah blah blah. It really comes down to, like, I guess the way I look at it is, think about police officers, right? It's no different than, it's amazing, right? Kind of like the Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like, it's amazing how everything is like the highway, right? I relate so much stuff to the highway, like business and life, and your exit, and there's road conditions, and you get a flat tire, and you need to get fuel, you need to take a rest. But I think of like as OSHA as like the police, right? Now for me, I don't have too many problems with police. Why? Because I don't let police follow me. You know what I mean? If they're behind me, I see any inclination of them. One thing I've always turned towards the cop. If I'm at an intersection, I turn towards the cop. Why? Why do you ask? Well, because I don't have nothing against me, but I also don't play around with alligators. If I go down to Florida or wherever, I don't play with alligators. I don't want to pet one. I don't want to hug one. I don't even want it to be 20 feet around me. I know what alligators do. Chomp, chomp, chomp. So I know what police officers do. Handcuff, handcuff, handcuff. And so they got cages in the back. I want no part of it. I don't care what's going on in the world. Because when you become a business owner, there's things behind the scenes that you might not even know about. That somebody has something. Son of a biscuit. Here's those things. They're sitting here. Those are on damn antennas we were talking about, me and Tony. Those antenna kits for Tanner. They were standing up the whole time. I just didn't see them laying down. All right, anyways. So, anywho, oh, there goes a police officer right now. Just drove by. God must be talking to me. Yes, so they're kind of the same way, right? You see stuff going on, you correct it. I've heard guys before too, like if they're on the job site, everybody goes home. You know what I mean? Everybody goes home. Everybody goes on big lunch break, whatever, right? And you just take your lickings when they come. I mean, you should practice as best you can, but it's no different than you should drive the best you can, and you shouldn't flip people off, because that's gonna draw attention. And you should just have your car up to snuff as best as your ability can be, right? And so it's just a matter of getting in the situation. Luckily for us, we never had a situation. What's Eric, guys? Is that a medical facility? Oh, for the stab? No. They make the big jet engines, not complete. They just make parts for them. But I know over the years that they're government funded, and they've been a pretty decent customer. They normally work with us. The gets along with Cap, doesn't get along with me. We just never can click. But it's just all of a sudden now they dump this on us, and they're holding back payment unless all the safety stuff gets filled out. And it's one of those things you just learn over time. It's not in like resentment. It's not because they're mean. It's just their system, and it won't release until there's certain things that are satisfied. So it just sucks. I don't know what the number is, how much it is. But for us, we're flush. Plenty of capital to sit on whatever it is. It'll get resolved eventually. They'll find a way. You put time on it sometimes time, because they want your service. They'll be like, what, here, just fill this part out and I'll get the rest programmed in for you. And you know what I mean? Like, You know, it's just everything turns into a lot of that stuff. That political stuff turns into liability. They want to know 100% they did. You know, if you fall out of your lift, you know, well, his guys were certified. They had a certified lift. They know that our protocol here is to wear harnesses. You know, even though it's debated across, you know, like you don't have to wear a scissor, or when you're in a scissor lift, you don't have to wear a harness, but shops require it. Some shops believe it's OSHA, you know, and it's like technically in our state, at least, it's not OSHA. It's the company, which is whatever, you know what I mean? I'm sure it's just like I'm sure it's probably like medical marijuana. You know what I mean? It's some companies, like when I plowed, there's no drugs, man. There's no drugs in your system. That's their policy. Well, in the state of Michigan, though, it's legal. You know what I mean? It just all depends. Do 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 do. Are commercial openers difficult to install? Just looking for my water. We'll walk here in a second. So commercial ones, I can tell you firsthand. I did one yesterday, and it kicked my hiney. Commercial. Well, obviously they have a lot of problems. You know, The product, you know, they get a lot of circuit board problems. Not that residential doesn't get that either. I always thought I had a screwdriver in here. I got the belt drive, Cheney. Been working. So commercial, if anybody comments on it, it'd be great too. They're just a different challenge. I was telling Caleb. I was telling Caleb the other day that I said the problem is how do I explain it? How do I explain it? So the way I can kind of explain it is, when I'm starting out, I don't know if you guys experience this either. When I'm first starting out, I mean, it's like you're strapped. You're strapped all the time, right? So you're strapped all the time. I mean, so it's like when you do it seems like with residential, you can hustle, right? You know, do the spring, do the cable, get the stuff wound, boom, 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 man. You're the master. You know, probably 8 times out of 10, you know, the customers don't normally bother you, right? Like they go in their house and blah, blah. You get one that'll sit in a lawn chair or something like that. But when you go to commercial is like, to me, it's like you have to change your mindset. Like you have to go, I'm not a boy, I'm a man. You know what I mean? Like that's what you got to do. Because so anyways, like we go here, right? This is a big trucking facility, whatever. All eyes are on I'm the first one there, but all the eyes are on me or on Caleb. And you know, first time I go up in the scissor lift, right? Beep, beep, beep. You know, everybody. What are they doing? Oh yeah, they're getting new opener. I got a problem. You know, I mean, you're being micromanaged. You know. How tall do you stand? What kind of clothes do you have on? You know, all these things, right? Now, for me, depending where I'm at, not always, I got the swag, man. It's kind of like you're like, got this. I got the gray hairs now. I'm not a young boy anymore. When I was young, it's hard, right? People respect you. And I get it that, you know, when I was young too, there was things that I wouldn't do now. You know, I mean, there was cutting corners and stuff like that. It's just that you have the capability to actually take the time and do it right. Because I already knew, right? The opener went up pretty good. And something's going to kick my ass. I just know it. Like everything's going smooth. I mean, it just has photo eyes to wire in. It's got a 3-button to wire in. I mean, it's got, you know, but it had a tilt to it. Just a little tilt from the original install. Now, remind you, I was taking off a LiftMaster, putting on a LiftMaster. Just 0.5 horsepower to 1 horsepower. That thing had a lean. The chain, it was dual springs. It's very complicated. Fired up. It sounds like I can't tell if the opener's making noise or whatever. It's clunking, clanking. Like I'm like, it ain't right, dude. It's popping. I'm not real happy with this. It's popping. So I probably spent, we probably had 15, 20, 30 minutes maybe of just going back down and taking a break and, me sitting at it and blah, blah. It's just a different animal. Now, mind you, like I said, it's 20 by 16 door. That's a big boy. That's a big door. And so I got to get this right. I mean, this is a lot. This thing can come down and kill somebody or whatever. But thank goodness, like I said, owned our own lift, or even if you're renting it, right, and it's at a fair price and you can keep it. But if I remember in commercial, it's very like, you want to speed through it, but you cannot speed through it. You know what I mean? Like you need to go through it methodically. And me and the other guy, mechanic there, I don't know if he's the only, he mentioned something because I played the whole, like I said, oh, it's no problem. I had to move his toolbox. Right? And I said, hey man, I said, they pay me by the hour. And he goes, oh, well, he said something about, like, he goes, well, that's what I'm worried about. He goes, because I'm paying the bill. I was like, ooh. So I said the wrong thing. And I said, don't worry. I said, a little bit later, I said, don't worry, because I'm sitting here taking my time, like really trying to methodically get this thing right. I said, don't worry. I said, I think it's a bid job as I'm texting. I'm like, is this a bid job? This is a bid job, isn't it? And he's like, he's probably thinking something else. So he's like, well, if it needs to be more, I could put on blah, blah. And I'm just like, nope, it's all good. I just want to know where we're at. If it's a bid job, what do you care? Well, if it takes me 6 hours, it takes me 12 hours. So that's kind of the issue. And so you want to get it done fast, right? Because you got a lot of customers you got to take care of. And so fortunate for me, though, I could take the time to do it right, because it probably took me an extra, we probably stacked on at least an hour, maybe 2, of the problem where we had to move sprockets, we had to put some bars on. You'll see it's a little goofy. I still got another little plate I'm going to put on to support it better. It was just a bear of a situation in a sense. Brand new building though. The building's only 3 years old, so everything's clean still, pretty fresh. But what I was talking about, I was getting at, was that he even mentioned, he goes, the company put these doors in, he goes, I think are, kind of subpar. And I said, I didn't want to bash anybody. He said, yeah. I said, we've had a little bit. And I said, this isn't this door right here. I said, this is the door here. And I said, this door really needed, I said, the master tech to install this. Because I got up and you know how you just start seeing things? Like they didn't even like through bolt, like some of the, it's like they took a screw and then put a nut on it. And I'm like, that's kind of cheating. It works, but it's like, that's kind of cheating. Like through bolt that thing. Like put a bolt and a nut, hammer it down, use a good size bolt. This is a big door, man. Big door. And then springs, they got they got a sag to them. It's like they did it, it's close enough, where it's like, no, this really needs to be spot on. The door had a drift to it. So problems on problems. Our commercial openers says, well, I had you on the TV, but grandson here, you overrode. My telebuddies? Oh, buggers. That's all right. That's funny. About to go to his phone. Oh, no. The small phone. Those antennas are like gold. Yes, they are. Yes, they are, Tony. They are. What's this one? This is manufacturer Seminole. Oh, it must have been one for a fire department. Fire department. These things are a must. Or just don't ever get the grays. Don't get the gray units, the gray commercial. Because this is the stuff that you run into that you got to start stocking. And you got commercial. It's a good point. Commercial, you got to, you use the gray-headed units. Lift mass, MD, the MJ. These are things that you'll find. Oh, in a steel building. Ooh, a steel building. The remotes don't work. Now what? You know what I mean? Now you got to go back. Now you got to get parts. So it's just everything slower. Residential, boom, you're in, you're out. You do a cable, a roller, you do a hinge, you do springs, in and out, baby. You know what I mean? For the most part, you got doors, stuff like that. But Eric's got, what's Eric got? Says you can install one by yourself. You need multiple people. Yeah, that's why, like I said, commercial. You pretty much got to either have, you and a business partner, or you and an employee, almost kind of like full staff. You know what I mean? Like on the, and then for me, the problem is that you get out there. It gets to be so difficult to answer the phone properly. You know what I mean? When now you still got residential port, and you're on the phone, you're up on a ladder, I've been there, the guy's standing there looking at you going, what, like, do I hit the impact? And you're like, Okay, yes. So you either got to buy software, you got to buy a phone recording system or something, and then you run into glitches out, right? That never seems to, so that's why sometimes you need to, it's almost like that, what's that saying, right? Give a man a small job and he will do a job. Give him many jobs and he'll do a bad job. You know what I mean? And that's what happens to the best of us. And then sometimes we go down that rabbit hole going, oh, so busy. Like if I buy that brand new truck, that'll solve my problems. Will it? Because now you got to work for that truck. And now you got to put insurance on that truck. And then you want to get a decision, well, I'm just going to buy it because I'm so busy. I'm so busy, right? But if you're not really paying attention to the numbers are so important. They really are. And I don't know the numbers. The numbers are so important to watch your numbers and calculate. And that's the stuff that can go bonkers. Heck, you can spend another 4 to 6 hours at night sitting there looking at your numbers. Here was this job and evaluating the job and saying, where did we go wrong and what happened here? And sometimes it's just your control. There's just so many variables. It's just crazy. Like I was literally just thinking about you guys the other day. I think it was last night, maybe this morning. I don't remember. Get a lot of brainstorming when you're on the crapper or taking a shower. But anywho, I was thinking to myself, I was like, we didn't have a plate yesterday. And I loaded up the truck quite a bit with a lot of stuff. Didn't have a certain plate. I'll show you. And I was thinking, since the hotline's kind of quiet, you guys are quiet. Shh. So I brought a bunch of wood that was unnecessary because I thought I was gonna pack it out. The anchors were so good for the chassis of the commercial. I didn't need them, so that was a lot of waste energy. Even when I had a full blown service vehicle, I still feel like I was doing the same thing, like go through the whole job, like I bring a speed square, a bigger speed square than I know. So these plates right here, right? I didn't have these plates. I don't have these. What do they call these? Tony, you know what they call these? Are these ball bearings? I think that's what we call them, football bearings. We can have the rustier ones up in the sky. Get rid of it. Obviously, it needs to be changed out. But I didn't have those plates. It wasn't the end all, but the opener that's working there right now, it could use it because dual shaft, the one shaft's moving. I don't like that. So I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, if you're doing commercial, like a full-blown service vehicle, like the cutaway van or a service van, and you got to be really delicate, you got to have stuff on, man. Like you got to have, that could have been. It wasn't. I got myself out of a pickle. But I definitely would encourage that you have, you need the rollers, you need 3-inch rollers, you need 2-inch, you need long stems. Oh, there's just a lot of parts. It's just a different animal, Do. But yes, 2 people, like Eric says, you need the manpower. And then the problem is you run into is maybe you got a job now, or that's going to take 2 guys. Well, you might run into now your residential suffering. It just all depends. It's a growing pain. I remember what one guy said. Pterodon? I don't know. I have to watch that video again. He was explaining, since I think we don't have too many comments on here. No, I'm not backing up too bad. This guy was explaining that, and I agree with him. He was talking in a video about how when you ask anybody that does $1 million in sales, and they'll tell you it's hell. And it is. I was there. I remember it. I remember we were over $1 million in sales. And when you're starting out, and, you're like, yes. But I remember how much money we did not make. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm trying to teach you guys about, remember, it's not how busy you are. It's how profitable you are. And profit comes with either higher prices or higher efficiency. And so if you're doing stuff closer, right? And that's why I always use that. Like I go, if somebody called me right now in California and said, I have a broken spring, can you come out? And I'd be like, no. But I might have thought about it when I was younger, and I'd say, well, it'd be maybe, let's just say $2,000. They go, I don't care. When can you be here? When can you do it, right? That customer would be the one that dupes me. As soon as I get on the airplane, they're calling me going, I already got somebody else. They do it for half the price. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I got all this time, cleared my schedule. I thought I was going to make it big, and then, or I get out there and, oh man, I don't have a certain tool, or I don't have a certain this. Oh, now I got to travel all the way back. Well, that's a really huge scale. That's how it works even in the door business. If you got to run back to your house, you got to run back to your shop. That's why the traveling is the death. It's like SOS. What is it? 5 Mile Famous. You want to be 5 Mile Famous, even though that typically isn't how it works. At least never has for me. But I would say you want to be. Let me spruce that a little bit. You want to be 5 Mile Famous, or you want to be 45 and under. 45 minutes or under. You know what I mean? Like 45 is kind of the I don't like going any more than that. I really like the sweet spot is about 15, 20, 30. 45 is like, let me see your pocketbook. Oh yeah, this is a big dog feeling. Oh yeah. Yeah, the big dog. 3 nuts and bolts. Yeah. Yep. I mean, it'd be the 5/16 minimum, and that's what they were using. But then they were using it like, I literally, when we went up on the lift, I seen right on the track, there was a bolt. And so I pushed Caleb and I said, what's that? So why is that there? I couldn't see nothing very visible. I didn't even look at it that hard. I was more opener. Like I said, this wasn't my install. But why is there a track sitting there? And then I seen, I've done it before. I don't see the purpose of it. I guess just for speed. But where you take and then you use like a track bolt and then or the nut and you zip into it and that tightens down. That's what they did. And I just thought, on my backings? I said I got bump stops on here. And then the bump stops, what got me is they drilled through it just with a self-tapper. That would not be happy. I'd be like, you through bolt that. You actually drill through it, through bolt it, because that's a bump. If somebody this is a huge door, man. If they throw that door up and it hits those bump stops and it blows through them, or whatever. Like I want to see, dude. Like I want to see the metal bent. I want to see the brackets, like not the bolts sheared off or the beer unwiggled or came out. That was an installer error. You know what I mean? I want to see there's nothing we could have done. Like the whole metal bracket and the L bracket also bent and everything. What did you do? Not an install where that stuff to me looked like amateur hour. Now that stuff could fail, rattle loose, and then this door could, if it was up in the air, kilter and come down and just damage. Elevators are amazing. I can't do I see 3/8 nuts and bolts. Is it Lambo something? How you doing? Glad you're here. It says hello there. Hello. Football bearing. Look, he's already on it. Tony, I don't know what the name of I always make something up. I think we call him, he says football bearing. Chain tensioner bar. Is that what you also call them? Chain? That's what they got in the shaft right now for it's wiggling around. I had to do like a dual. So if anybody knows why we're on here, I was trying to ask Tanner. I'm sure he was busy. He gave me a few splats, but he didn't answer my question. And I don't know if anybody knows this. You got your dual hookup, right? This like I said, this is a 20 wide by 16 tall, steel back, insulated with the roll windows through a very big door, right? So it's got outside hookups and it also has inside hookups. So it's got 2 cables running up on both, so 4 cables total with 2 sets, of springs, right? So it's 4 springs total on different shafts, separate. I noticed that all of them, they hooked the opener, right? The chain and the sprocket and everything. They hooked it up to the one that hooks to the bottom bracket, not the outside hookups. Now, in my mind, that makes sense because obviously you should be jerking on that bottom bracket, on the bottom bracket, but not the outside hookups because out hookups kind of bend out and it's more leverage and maybe you'd rip them or wreck them. But I don't know that the problem was where the opener was because it was above. The opener, the shaft I really wanted was on the outside hookup. And I was thinking, I don't know if I chance it. So I didn't know if I chanced it by you know what I mean? Like hooking into that and then it ripped this door apart somehow. So luckily Caleb came up with the idea. So actually I got dual spreader bar between shaft to shaft. And then I went down to the one that hooks. So it's working, but it's a long chain, man. It wasn't really what I wanted, but it's just what we came up with. I see elevators on the bottom here. He says, I can't stay long too since I'm going to chill. He says, catch you on the next live stream. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. I don't know how much longer I'll stand here. Like I said, it's pretty quiet. I got stuff to clean up. Like I said, I got a few other things to, do. Good afternoon, Joe. But you guys are more welcome. You got any questions or whatever, it gets me fired up. So, but let's see here. Are you installing the maximum? No. Nope. I mean, the only thing I can think on the owners would be that the variable speed might be kind of nice. But I hear the units are bigger, right? And a lot of stuff we get into, like this one we were doing the other day, yesterday, that might have been a problem if it a bigger unit, you know what I mean? Because this one with the chassis, we were just pulling one off. The plate was still the same in the back, so boom, it bolted right up, which is good. But the problem was when they installed it, slightly crooked, and I went the way they did it, but it was popping, and it was, that whole thing I talk about, that chain, right? I don't like the chain. And so I went in the other side of it, and that side worked good because the shaft was already bowed that way, kind of all worked and good. But no, I just don't see the maximums. They're more, they cost more. I don't like being the guinea pig. So I'd rather see them have 3, 5, 7 years on them, and they'll probably have different revisions of them. And I really like AC motors. I worry about the cold with them stuff. I'm not a DC fan. I just don't not a DC fan. I mean, they work in certain things, but no. Now they're more, like I said, right now we're pretty gun ho. Like yesterday, honestly, the Genie sounds better than this LiftMaster. I didn't like the brakes. It really was scratchy, noisy sound to me. Like I don't like the band brakes where I like the clutch pad flap more on the Genie. I was kind of hoping, I was like, man, we thought the opener was bad from the get-go. But I got it working. It works. I don't know. I just don't know. But no, we probably won't. Cap doesn't have any interest in them. He says they're more. We have such good luck. We haven't had any problem. We've only had, like I said, out of, I don't know how many years we've been doing it, 8, 10 years. We've only had one circuit board just recently that popped up with the Genies. We don't have range issues with antennas through metal buildings with the Genies. I think the only problem, most time, the shaft when I was doing some stuff out there. And that was my fault for changing the design of them. Heading out to go change some springs. If I let me, he says, I'm going to do it live. Sweet. Do it up, Tony. Hopefully I'll get to see it. I'll jump on and harass you. Elevator Easy says, are you at work right now? Yes, I am. I was doing a video on this laser, so that should come out at some point. So I was here anyways, and I thought I'd jump in. I seen the email. I said, you're just in the nick of time. I got to get back to another email. I got somebody that's emailed me about something. I don't even remember what it was, so I got to check that out. But so I just jumped on for a few minutes just to say hello, and I wanted to address the commercial pricing. That's the best of my knowledge of kind of, I'm sure there's some other stuff, but you guys would have to jog my memory on some of it. But commercial's a different animal. You got to have capital. I'm really glad that we have a scissor lift. That's our biggest tool. And but it's more money. Insurance is more money. It's just, but you charge more. I think the prices I think went up again. They're 120, and then we charge 160 for commercial. And then sometimes we prorate. Like once you're on the job, it'll get knocked down to a certain level once you're there working. Some jobs are bid. You bid the job. But like I said, you could be sitting on it, especially when you start out. So it's nice if you can start out with something small, roller, a cable, something that you eat, which is good. Man, we got 10 likes. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. Really appreciate it. What scares me is like, we're doing this, 12-door job, and you're like, I can do it. About bankrupts you, and then you're struggling so hard to get payment, and you're spending 2, 3, 5 days working your hiney off trying to get them to pay you to get all the stuff out, and you're calling your insurance company. You're like, I need you to send this to me now. They're like, well, we got to up your insurance. It's going to take 3 days for them to send us the copies, because they're just front runners. They're not call it the underwriters. Are you Clopay? Was that pallet shaft? Parallel. Oh, is it Clopay parallel? Parallel shaft. Is that what they call it? I don't know. It was dual. It's all dual. There'll be a video. There'll be some pictures. So you have to stay tuned, be a subscriber, hit the like button, keep your fingers. um, Says elevators are made. Says I can't stay for long. Yes, you got to catch it up live. Great. Good afternoon, Joe. Can you get a, was it roll top door in a service size? What's a roll top? Okay, door in a service size, 36-inch by 40. Ice house. Bad idea. Can you get one? Now, like when you're talking like roll top, you're talking sits here on the counter, right? I always call them like the lunchroom cafeteria pull up door. You know, like where they, whoosh, what do you want? You want some pizza? The roll top, like that. You can. It just all depends, right? Because sometimes they get, depending where it's at, location wise. Sometimes I've had it happen. Schools or whatever, they want them to be fire doors. So you could have problems with fire. And those things that how it is. It's a shot in the dark. You know what I mean? But you could just buy a regular one. You know what I mean? And then the maintenance guy's like, hey, we got a problem. And you're like, what? And hopefully got paid. And he's like, well, that installed. He says they, it needs to be fire rated. Okay, well, we just gave you $2,000 or $3,000 for this one door. And how much is this other door? And you do the math, and it's like $6,000 to $8,000. And they're like, well, can you take this door back? And you're like, no, I don't know use for this. And they're like, well, we think that, you probably should have known this. So that's why commercial, it's like, that's why it's kind of like a little bit like that residential, right? What I do when I go to residential, I'm always asking the customer, like, what are you doing with this place? Especially if I can't smell it, you know what I mean? I'm like, what are you doing with this place? What you doing? Are you going to live here forever? You going to die here? Is this going to be a flipper? Is this a flipper home? Is this going to be a rental? What going to be? What you going to do with this place? How are you going to bulldoze this place in 5 years? And that's when I use my years of experience where I just go, they go, well, it's going to flip. And I go, well, let's just put in a Wayne Dalton 9000 series door. Let's just do this. Do it non-insulated. It'll look pretty from the outside. It'll get the job done. And so that's why you always, that's why I'm always kind of joking with the guys in a sense where I always tell them, I say, look, everything you touch, you're responsible. When even their faucet starts leaking, that's your fault. No, it's not. I said, yes, it is. I said, because you're the last contractor there. Maybe used their toilet, left a poop streak in there. That's your, so it's, that's why you got to always really, it's almost like a little marriage, a mini marriage. You're always trying to see if we're a good fit. Stuff doesn't start adding up on the phone. They can't do this, but I need you to come out right now. It's like it turns into, it's this guy right here. Somebody just mentioned this again. I think one of the guys said, this is this customer right here. Sounds like you have an emergency. You need to hang up and call 911. That's how customers can be. Do you guys install high-speed doors? Also, trying to figure out how much service should I offer to customers. I want to stick with doors and openers. Just wanted to know about product. Yeah, so for instance, for us, right? I went down this rabbit hole myself, where I was providing too many services, and I hear it across a lot of business owners. You can provide too many services. So it's almost, I kind of do strongly believe in, to some degree, you want to become the expert, right? You want to, it's that light theory, that Ty Lopez guy. I don't see him anymore, Ty Lopez, right? He said, he was always saying it for college, right? He's like, you go to college. Oh, that was a great way to put it. He says, you go to college and you got to be laser focused. And I was like, and he's like, because it works like a light, right? A light can light up a room, right? But if you narrow it down, let's see if this will. If you narrow it down, right? Where is it? I lost you. Right there you are. If you narrow down, it can cut through anything, or it can make a laser, right? If you narrow it down. So that's how you got to look at things. Like you go to college, you got to narrow your focus down. Because what can happen in the service is you get too big. So like dock plates don't work out good for us. It's just too much. It takes a different breed of a man to do dock plates. And it's just too much. Like you need different trucks, you need different equipment, you need different tools, you need different vendors. There's a lot that goes into it. Some vendors are right, and that's another thing, right? Some dealers will just sell to any. Some that are out there that other people have been installing. You go to what is the one called? Albany. Is it Albany? I think it's Albany. Albany is a high-speed roll-up door company. That's a pretty big company. We have a company that installs them, right? And we've gone to them, and they don't want to work. Give us some tech support. But they're dealer Pacific, right? So we need to go to the dealer and get parts and everything from our competition. So that's why the high speeds never worked out good. It's becoming, so we had a guy that he was just leaving, selling his oil change place. He was buying them off way cheaper than he can get anywhere else. And that worked out good for us. It's like you buy them online and we'll install them. And they really weren't too bad to install. So I look at it like just, the world is changing. It's amazing how, like you guys, I didn't have that stuff. You can buy a lot of stuff off Amazon. I was even thinking, we got something shipped. I think it was like not a dresser, but it goes under your TV, an Omar, I don't know what you call it, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, bring a big truck. And I'm thinking, hell, I never looked. I'm sure somebody's going to look now, maybe Papa Tony or something, and I'm going, does Amazon sell stores? I'm thinking, it's a box truck that comes, and it's Amazon. I'm like, it was going to be a matter of time that they will sell garage doors. You know what I mean? So, think about it. For a lot of guys starting out, hell, that'd be great, man. You have it come right. You won't have to fight in dealerships. And even one of my sales lady that worked for one of the companies, they, she told me, she said, I don't want to deal with it anymore. I want to deal with people's driveways, and the drivers are getting stuck, and they can't find the addresses. She's like, I want to deal with established companies. I want to deal with, parking lots and buildings. I don't want to sell to trunk spammers anymore. Now she's retired now, so you don't have to worry. But I get it. But I go, hell, if Amazon, I don't think they're ever going to do high speed anytime soon. But what I'm saying is things are changing. So I don't deal with speed. We could go to training. We just don't have that much demand for it around our area. It's not there yet. They're not insulated, so places we need insulated to keep the heat, security, Are they getting to be a little bit? Yeah, the car washes are starting to get onto them a little bit. Normally we'll just work on what they have or figure it out if we want to, but it's definitely a different animal. It's a different animal. Also trying to figure out how service should honor customers. Like I said, just start with something small. Like I said, if you're doing residential, GS. If you're doing, just start with something. If you can get in something small, don't worry about trying to flood the market, because most time with the commercial, you're probably going to have to boots on the ground and walk in there or meet them or send them a letter. And ask for the service. You got to hunt them down and kind of get in front of them. The first swing you might not hit. It might be the third, fourth, or sixth hit swing. You might get somebody's attention. You know what I mean? And you got to. It takes time. That's the biggest thing, which is hard to understand. It's like sometimes, like for me even, boom, man, I wanted to go. Like, let's go. And then you can get duped. Sometimes you can get so much work, and now you can't even. You can't even. And you go, oh, I'll work harder and all this. You'll get burnt out. You'll burn out whoever's working with you. So it's but if you can start and then, okay, insurance now, I got this and I'm providing this. And like I said, probably for me, just stick with the doors and openers, especially if you got a vendor. That's the big thing. You gotta have a vendor. It's kind of like, it really comes down to like that car, right? You go, oh, I want to buy that Ferrari. Okay, well, who's going to work on it? Well, not me, Well, where are you going to take it? Oh, I think the closest one's like 500 miles away. Do you think that's very practical? Well, yeah, it looks sweet. The girls, it'll be, No. What do you got? What do you got for a dealer? You know, that's also another thing. What do you got for support? Because that's very important. You know. Tony says the countertop doors, they can be a bear sometimes. Yes, Tony is actually very correct with that. They're like another layer of security for us anyways. Like we have some in, I'm thinking like one's like in a school, I think it was a Christian school, and I remember it was always locked. You know, if the door locked, when you'd lock again. So you know, you got to go with the interior of a building. Normally you're working, like for us, we had some that run chain really funky that were drop doors for fire, which I don't even know why, because this like goes into a weird room. But then they had electronic, like a disconnect that pop out if it got energized from the fire alarm. So that thing was always, and it somehow was getting all goofed up most of the time. But you know, you're in a weird spots, man. Like you're always crowd. You know, you're up in the thing. You're kind of like I don't know. I still feel guilty about it. I'm always standing on somebody's counter. You know, like mama told me you don't climb the counter. You know, it's guilty when I'm on their counter and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll clean that up. I got mud, you know, or whatever. You know, you got to get the doors just perfect. If you order new. I think we had one where there was like a wall that they kind of enclosed it after the fact. I know Cap even walked away from me, just told me, he said, hey, this is for this school. And he said, it would take us days to work on this. You know what I mean? And he said, it's just not realistic right now. And so he said, I just told him, you know, call these couple other places. Maybe they can help him out. And sometimes that's the best thing. I still see it come up, the power of no. I can't tell you guys how important it is. Just set boundaries, you know, and when something's not working, set boundaries and the power of no. Just, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry, this is not going to be a good fit. I don't, you know, and trust me, we all get it. I've gotten it many times, but I went against it. I get that gut feeling, man, I don't can quite do this job. This job might take too much. We're so busy right now, blah, 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 this and that. You know, the way this guy's talking, and it's just better to say no now than get it and you're getting burned. They're not going to pay you more money. You're screwed, you know what I mean? So it's just better to say, you know what, I don't know if we're going to be able, you know, that brand, god darn it, we do not work with that company. And you really, you know, and if you can, people like that. If you can offer, say, you know, you might want to try this company or try this, but unfortunately, we just don't work with that brand or whatever, you know, find something to politely say, no thank you. Countertops. What's Tony got, man? Tony's got damn extension springs. Got to run back to, oh, no. I'm going to give Tony a butt whooping. I'm going to give him a marker. No, on his forehead. Did he not get pictures? Tony, did you not get pictures? What'd I tell you about damn pictures? You're going to have to dispatch me on this stuff. I'm not going to let you leave until you get pictures. So it's a good thing it's only a mile. Oh, and a half? Oh, shoot. Yeah. You could throw a rock to that. That's awesome. See? Another reason. Good. He's got it, man. That's the reason right there. If he would have drove 2 hours, not be good, man. Not be good. And that's why you got to take those pictures if you can. Custom. Sometimes, you know, that one's easy, though. It's right down the road. Tony says that's a hard word for me to say. It is. I've had a hard time. I've gotten really good at it now, though. The power of just, you know, when something's not feeling right. I normally can tell. I've gotten so good on the phone. I can normally read stuff pretty good on the phone. But then slow it down by telling them, hey, send me some pictures. You can see the lay of the land. You can see any, you know, vehicles. You can see house. You can see stuff, and it'll start adding up. And you go, yeah, I don't think this is going to be, you know, oh, Jesus, well, you know, I don't know if I can afford that. I'm on a fixed income, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Anywho, if you guys got anything else, hit me up at the Daveadubson at gmail.com. I typically always put them in the description below. And otherwise, I'm probably going to tune off here. If we want to do something later, you can always let me know. We'll see what we can do. I'm just chilling. I got plenty to do. Got some stuff to make. But like I said, I'm here for you guys. I appreciate the email. If you come across anything, biggest thing is get out there, you know, and just do it. You'll get blowback, but you'll learn. You know what I mean? As long as you don't do something too big that costs a lot of money, because, you know, here's the thing, college is not free. So you just remember, you go spend $100,000, spend even $1,500 for a course that you're just going to get a piece of paper. But the real life, you need to get your hands dirty. You need to get those tools in your hands. You need to run into those problems head on, and then address them and go, ooh, I didn't like that. I didn't like how that felt. I'm not going to do that again. And that's the best way. But just try not to bite off too much so you don't choke. You know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just not too much so you choke and you die. All right, Papa Tony, for sure. You got it. Let me know. Sounds good. I'm out of here. I got some cleanup to do. I made a mess. So take care, guys. Remember, keep your finger. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for being here. Let those emails roll. Comments. Thanks for the likes, too. 10? Dang. I feel spoiled. We'll get me a hamburger. Maybe a Happy Meal. See ya.